All right, friends, so we talked about what a quadratic is and just kind of the basic parent function of a quadratic, but now we're going to talk about the different forms of a quadratic. And there are three. The first one is standard form. Standard form looks like y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. So this is similar to when we talked about standard form in polynomials. It's written from the highest exponent down to the lowest exponent. So an exponent of 2, an exponent of 1, and an exponent of 0 are constant term. When we are trying to look at the vertex from standard form, the formula is x equals the opposite of b over 2a. X equals the opposite of b over 2a. And then to find the y value, you evaluate x in the original equation. So you find x, then you plug it back in, making sure if it was negative that you put in parentheses, especially on that squared term, and you evaluate to find out what it is. All right, next is vertex form. Vertex form looks like y equals a times the quantity x minus h squared plus k. Vertex form, having the name vertex form is the easiest for finding the vertex. The vertex is hk. Noticing that in the formula, that h has a minus in front of it, so that means you're going to take the opposite of what you see there in the parentheses to get h, and then k, because it has a plus in front of it, you just keep it just as it is. All right, the next is intercept form. Intercept form is y equals a times x minus p times x minus q. And the p and the q are representing intercepts, or where it's crossing the x axis, where the graph's crossing the x-axis. So to find the vertex is always halfway between those intercepts. So you're going to find the average of them by taking p plus q divided by 2. Similar to the h, the p and the q both have a minus, so when you plug in p and q, you need to take the opposite of what you see. And then to find the y value, similar to standard form, you evaluate x in the original equation. So our task for today is just to be able to identify what form are we talking about and what is the vertex of that particular equation. So moving along to the examples, number 4 says name the form of the quadratic listed. Is it standard, vertex, or intercept form? Then find the vertex. So number 4, y equals x squared plus 2x minus 5. There's no parentheses, so that one is standard form. It's written in order from the highest power to the lowest power. So because it's standard form, when I find the vertex, I'm going to start with x equals the opposite of b over 2a. b is the coefficient of the x term, so it's 2. And a is the coefficient of the square term, which in this case is an understood 1. So therefore, x equals the opposite of b, negative 2, over 2a, so 2 times 1. Do your order of operations. That fraction bar serves as a grouping symbol, so you have to do the group on the bottom first. So now you have negative 2 over 2, so you get negative 1. So then we're going to find the y value, and we're going to find that by evaluating x in the original equation. So everywhere I have an x, I'm now going to put a negative 1. So I'm going to get y equals negative 1 quantity squared plus 2 times negative 1 minus 5. So when I square a negative, I get a positive, so that's 1. 2 times negative 1 is negative 2 minus 5. So I need to take 1 minus 2 minus 5, and that gives me negative 6. So therefore, the vertex of this particular quadratic is negative 1 comma negative 6, because it's x and then y. All right, moving to the right, number 5, I have y equals negative 3 quantity x minus 6 squared minus 2. So comparing this to our 3 formulas, it has one parenthesis, and that parenthesis is squared. So that means this is vertex form. Okay, as I mentioned earlier, vertex form, it's the nice one. It's going to be the easiest to find the vertex because of the name itself. So I'm just going to jump right to those parentheses. I'm going to take the opposite of what I see in the parentheses because the h, okay, is being subtracted here. So the opposite of negative 6 is positive 6. And then what's being added to the end? A negative 2. So 6, negative 2 is the vertex. All right, moving to number 6. I have y equals negative quantity x plus 5 squared. All right, so it's got parentheses, so it's either vertex or intercept. That vertex form has the square on the parentheses, so this one is vertex form. All right, so that means I can jump straight to my parentheses. So looking in the parentheses, I want to know what was subtracted. So I'm taking the opposite of what I see. So the opposite of 5 is negative 5. And then the k value is what's being added to the end. So nothing was added to the end because nothing's there. So therefore the vertex is negative 5, 0. All right, moving to number 7. I have y equals negative x minus 8 and x plus 4. So this one has 2 parentheses. So looking back at our 3 rules, the one with 2 parentheses is the one called intercept form. Okay, it involves a formula for finding the x value of the vertex. So I need to identify p and q first. So you want to know what's being subtracted in each parenthesis. So you're taking the opposite of what you see. So the opposite of a minus 8 is an 8. And the opposite of 4 is negative 4. So therefore, x equals p plus q divided by 2. You're finding the average. So 8 plus negative 4 divided by 2. 8 plus negative 4 is 4. Because I have a grouping symbol, I have to do that first. And then 4 divided by 2 is 2. So that's my x value. To find my y value, I have to evaluate x in the original equation. So that means I have to put the 2 in everywhere I have an x. So I'm going to get y equals negative parenthesis 2 minus 8 parenthesis 2 plus 4. I really like intercept form because it's kind of self-checking. On this next step, I'm going to expect those 2 parentheses to be opposites of each other if I did it correctly. So 2 minus 8 is negative 6, and 2 plus 4 is positive 6. So I have found the correct x if that happens. And now if I multiply all that out, I get positive 36. So the intercept form of y equals negative x minus 8 x plus 4 has a vertex of 2, 36. All right, so then moving to number 8. Okay, I'd ask you at this time to pause the video and see if you can identify what form is before I tell you what it is. And then maybe perhaps you could even find the vertex first. All right, or you can just follow along with me. So note this one does not have a parentheses. So this one is standard form. My terms are written in order from least to greatest degree, highest degree of 2, lowest degree of 0. So I need to use the formula, x equals opposite of b over 2a. So b is the coefficient of the x term, which is 4. A is the coefficient of the square term, which is 2. So I'm going to get x equals the opposite of b, negative 4, over 2a. So 2 times 2. That fraction bar serves as a grouping symbol, so I do the denominator first. So I have negative 4 over 4, which is negative 1. All right, so then I need to evaluate that y value. Sorry, that x value to get the y value. So I'm going to plug in the negative 1 in each of those spots. So I get y equals 2 parenthesis negative 1 squared plus 4 times negative 1 minus 3. So thinking about our order of operations here, I need to do this exponent before I do this multiplication. So I'm going to get 2 times 1. And then I can go ahead and do this, minus 4 minus 3. All right, then that 2 times 1 is 2. So I have 2 minus 4 minus 3. So that's negative 5. So the vertex of this problem is negative 1, negative 5. All right, last example. Y equals 2 quantity x minus 5x plus 1. So I have 2 parentheses. Neither one is squared, so this one is intercept form. So I have to use that formula, x equals p plus q divided by 2. So p is the opposite of what I see in the parenthesis. The opposite of negative 5 is 5. Q is the opposite of what I see in the parenthesis. So the opposite of plus 1 is negative 1. So x equals p plus q divided by 2 would be 5 plus negative 1 divided by 2. The fraction bar serves as a grouping symbol. So I get 4 over 2, which is 2. And then finally, to find y, I have to evaluate that 2 in for x. So I'm going to get y equals 2, parenthesis 2 minus 5, parenthesis 2 plus 1. Remember that self-checking piece, these 2 parentheses should be opposites. 2 minus 5 is negative 3, 2 plus 1 is positive 3, so that checked out. And then I need to multiply all that together. So 2 times 3 is 6. 6 times 3 is 18. Don't forget about the negative. So negative 18. So the vertex is 2, comma, negative 18.